I get a lot of advice from my parents and from friends, and it's all good because it's experience. It's not just what they've been taught, it's things that they've learnt. In school we have a careers officer, and I have been to see her before, but I think it's very hard for a careers officer to learn what all the options are for the set job that you want to do. There are a lot of jobs out there, a lot of different universities, and sometimes it kind of feels like they're not quite trained to handle that amount of knowledge.
They didn't open my eyes to a lot of different variation. It was just more going to do A-levels. But that's not what I wanted to do.
I actually had really good careers advice when I was in school. We had a careers officer, and when we were just before we were leaving school, we were all given an appointment for a certain time to go and see her to talk about where we were going to go after school, any future plans after college, and she would give us like the booklets of the different colleges, different advice on the courses that you wanted to do.
I have received careers advice, but I've not found it very useful because there's not been enough of it.
When I got to university, I had obviously more sort of directed advice. Funny enough, I think they were a lot more honest with me in university. One of my lecturers, who I won't name, turned around and said to me that in comparison with every other student, I will find it more difficult to get a job because of my disability, which I think a lot of people would have been afraid to say because obviously it's not the thing they should be saying. There shouldn't be discrimination, but there is definitely something there. And it sort of prepared me for like the disappointment of trying to look for work as well.
Gen I fatha swydd o gyfarwydd, ond oedd hi'n rhoi cymorth, ond oedd hwnnw'n digon o dymder, a o'n i'n teimlo bach ar goll, yn ei cais am ucas, yn ei cais am ysgolion. Everyone dwi'n iawn o fatha ar y pryd, o'n i dal yn siŵr beth ni eisiau gwneud, a ella bach mwy o cymorth, mwy o dymder.
There was that support, oh, you're going to university, pick your courses, how to fill out your UCAS form, you receive all this help to go forward with that. And there wasn't really, obviously there was the option for myself, oh I'm going to leave college actually, I'm not going to go to university actually, but there wasn't the option, okay, this is the help you can receive if you're not going to university. There was so much help around going to university, but nothing around any other options.
And of course we didn't do work experience in our school, so we missed it and everything, so there's nothing we can put down on our CVs really for work experience, because we haven't had it, because we never had it in our school for some reason, so...
It depends on the course really, because when I was in school they had work experience, but only for like, for the girls it'd be hairdressing, or for the boys it'd be motor mechanics.
Yep.
So that was all they really had, so when we went into college, you know, if you're going into, like, if you're going straight from school to a job, you know, you're not going to know what to expect.
With work experience, we've only been given a week, and a week isn't long enough to be able to understand that's the career you want to go into. It's barely long enough to be able to get to know the place that you are.
When I was started year 11, I got dropped from science because I didn't get the grade in the mock in the previous year. But I was put on another course instead called Work and Employment, and that it was only half a GCSE, but it gave us the skills of how to write a CV, how to manage ourselves financially, and just how to be prepared to be in an interview for college or a work interview.
I think there's enough practical training out there for the young people to do. It's just whether they get involved in it or whether they find out about it, whether they've heard about it. I mean, down here I know we do a lot of practical stuff, so there's a lot of practical stuff for young people to get involved.
I'm studying health and social care, and they provide a lot of training for me to go into something like that. But if I was studying something else, it wouldn't be good.
I don't feel the majority of young people are given adequate skills to enter the workforce, as it is very dependent on your subject choice. Many subjects like English or other subjects where communication is key, they're almost to an advantage to if you took more science-based or other subjects.
They need to be pressured into it maybe. I think on the job seekers and through the government and that, I think they should have to do certain training to be able to receive their job seekers income, because myself, I got offered it, but because I didn't want to do it, I never ever done it. But I reckon if I did do it, it would have improved me chances of getting a job or into training or something by a big mark. Like.
There's a loop. You can't either can't get the job because you've not got the qualifications, and then once you've got the qualifications you can't get the job because you haven't had the experience.
It's that whole situation about we won't employ you unless you have experience, but it's like how are we going to get experience if no one's going to employ us, kind of thing.
I think some employers as well use the whole needing to get experience as a way of cheap labour, if let's be honest about it. They'll see people and think, okay, we'll get them in and have them for that experience period and then get rid of them, and then you're sort of stuck still looking for experience and looking for a foot in the door.
Sometimes employers are unrealistic about the skills and the experience they expect from young people when they consider them for work. They often have far too high requirements when they are writing up their job descriptions and such, and it really puts off a lot of possible talented young people.
Fy man i dwi'n meddwl lot ohonno fo ydi ti'n gallu cael grad a nid yn andros o nadarliadau, ond maen nhw'n dweud ti angen profiad. A mae'n anodd gael profiad tra ti'n studio neu tra ti'n yr ysgol ella, neu ella ti wedi bod yn gweithio mewn caffi ers o ti'n fach, ond diolch yn digon iddyn nhw a mae'n nes ti isio job fwy uchelgeisiol, mae'n angen mwy o profiad.
A lot of young people think that you've got to have like a uni degree, you've got to be really experienced in order to get a job. So sometimes people aren't even motivated to try because they just expect to fail.
You could be a really fantastic worker, you might not have any experience, you've not got a chance in hell. When I was unemployed, I could apply for, well, I did apply for loads and loads of jobs, month after month after month. Didn't even get a reply, didn't even get turned down. So the fact that I didn't even get the opportunity to be turned away says there's a massive problem with the way we're applying for our jobs.
A lot of people do not have the money to pay for public transport all the time, and if you can't get a lift somewhere or you don't drive yourself or something, that can really be a problem. And sometimes maybe people live quite far out in the countryside, so they've got to travel away, or the job they really want just isn't nearby to them.
I think something that really does need to be pushed is a bus pass for NEETs, because why do your older generation gets to have free travel? Young people should be as more entitled as well as them.
Buses are like never on time. If I was to go to a job interview or to work, I would never get the bus that gets me to work 20 minutes before, because more than likely that bus is going to be 20 minutes late.
I know I live in an isolated village where even the bus service has been stopped, and so unless my parents take me, I have no way of getting to work.
I personally have friends who speak Welsh, and I'm actually just friends of the family who have translated for things like BBC, like S4C and things like that, and they said like it's helped them so much more, because yeah, it's just easier for them to get into the workplace because they're bilingual, and yeah, I think it does help a lot.
I have been affected by jobs that require Welsh language speaking skills because I can understand Welsh, and but speaking it is a little bit difficult for me. I just needed a little bit more confidence within it.
It is hard when you go in and you do understand a basic amount, but when they interview you and they say, do you speak Welsh? And you say, well, I understand some of it, but not really. Sometimes that you could be pushed aside quite easily with that.
Welsh language skills hasn't affected me in a negative way. I have a basic understanding of Welsh, as I had a B in second language Welsh, and I've used this to my advantage in previous work.
My perspective on the Welsh language has sort of altered over the years. When I was in school, you know, I'm obviously a passionate Welshman, and the Welsh language has been important to me, but I never thought I would go on and use it in a career at all, because most people, you know, first language is English. But the Welsh language has opened a lot of doors for me that would have been closed to other people. You know, I've done a lot of Welsh language media work and stuff like that since leaving university. It's really important to me.
Well, I've never been affected by needing Welsh language skills because I've only recently moved into Wales, but I think the businesses that are based in Wales should have a link to maybe Welsh training, speaking classes, and it should be free of charge maybe, and then they have to go a certain amount of days a week just to pick it up if they want to. I think that's what should be set up.
For me personally, to find work in this area, not being able to speak Welsh has been a major hurdle. And I am looking into courses, and I am looking at ways of learning it and kind of trying to learn it. But from my past experience of trying to learn another language, I've been really struggling before, so I don't know if I am going to be able to learn it. And in that case, I don't know if that's going to be a problem I can resolve.
I think there is certain people that just are happy just doing what they're doing. I think they need pressure for them to actually succeed.
There is a great deal of pressure to find work when you're young, if you're in between jobs or if you've just come out of education, most definitely. Not just pressure from possible parents or guardians. I feel there's a pressure from society, and there's a pressure from the government as well, with a lot of get back to work schemes, which I feel work on some scale, but I think they need to improve the way that they help and target young people.
I actually know quite a few young people who are like transgender, and they are terrified to go for job interviews because they think they'll be discriminated against, because they think if they go as one gender and then later on come out, they will then be fired. They're worried that there'll be prejudice in the workplace, and it's just like there are people who are genuinely really scared to even try because of how they'll be perceived.
I think the biggest barrier for young people to find work is that a lot of the jobs where I live in Rhyl most of it is seasonal and temporary for Christmas, so they're not really there for as long as they really could be, and then you don't really get to thrive in the environment that they want to.
There are people who are lazy, but I know so many people who they've got their degree gone on now, and they've ended up going to work in HMV or something because like they can't find, like there's no available jobs for them for the degree that they want, so they're going to have to try and adapt to the job market now. So
I think the problem young people in this area face is it's not a massive area, and the job opportunities are not great, so you really have to look and search hard to find a job in this area, I think.
Traineeship, yeah, that basically what we did was because we only had to go in 1 day per week, for the rest of the days they would put us on a placement, and which is like work experience basically, but it's part of the course. Doing it was alright at first because it's like I enjoy doing something new, but then it just kind of felt like he was making me do more cleaning than like actual experience.
I have been part of Jobs Growth Wales. But unfortunately for me that didn't go so well because I was expecting to be there for about 3 weeks at the most, and then as if I was training and then go straight on to employment. But what ended up happening was I was there for about a month and a half, still not getting paid. I was promised a job by both the job centre and by the company I was working with. But it didn't quite work out well for me because I didn't get it in the end, obviously.
When I was a NEET for 10 months. I was really down. I remember there were points where I'd be crying in the job centre because people would question me, you know, you've been looking for all this work, why are you still unemployed? And, you know, I don't know. And as well, when you leave school, it's not what you dreamt your life to be. You think things will fall into place, but they just don't. So the job centre then let me know about the Prince's Trust. I did a course with the Prince's Trust. It was run by Admiral Insurance Company. It was a customer service course, and that was 2 weeks long. It didn't give me any aspirations to go into customer service as such, but it definitely, even just getting out of bed, getting somewhere, going home, you know, having the structure of a day again, and learning about myself.
I think think a lot of people tend to think that most young people who aren't employed are lazy, must be on benefits, they're obviously not trying anything. But then, I mean, people on benefits, not all young people are on benefits obviously, but the people who are, they're not necessarily lazy. Like I myself, I'm on benefits at the moment and I'm not looking for work, but that's because I'm volunteering and I'm trying to build up my skills there and my experience.
Myself and people at the Community Voice Project, we may not have jobs, but we're still actually doing stuff with our lives. We're not just sitting around being lazy all day. We're actually coming together to do projects and to do stuff in the community while still looking for jobs.
In all honesty, I think some people are just lazy. Like sometimes they can't be bothered, you know, to write up their CV or go down to the shop and have a look to see if there are any jobs going, because I've done that, I know, I've been there.
The media is responsible for a lot of the negativity in terms of disability and youth unemployment, really, because there's a perception that young people are lazy and that they want everything like that. It's not at all. It's not something that's instantaneous either. People are prepared to work, but I don't think employers are prepared to afford the opportunities to learn. Like a lot of the older generation seem to think, you know, back in my day and all that, but back in their day they had the opportunities to get out there and work and put a shift in, and there was growth in their jobs as well, where they'd, you know, be able to climb a ladder.